Never worked for me. I working too hard. I working, just never worked for me. Well, I had a girl who loved me, who didn't need much from me. Said she didn't need much money at all. Then she said if I loved her, I'd buy a diamond ring. I shrugged and I just walked on out the door. I ain't working no more. I ain't working, she didn't work for me. I ain't working no more. I ain't working, she never worked for me. Well, I went to see a man who helped choose your career. He asked me what I'd do if money was free. I said that I would read and spend my time outside. He said you don't need to work for that to be. I ain't working no more. I ain't working, she never worked for me. I ain't working too hard. I ain't working, she never worked for me. Well, I brought this song to Nashville and I gave it to some suits. Said, boys, make the check out to me. They said their target market was hard-working folk. They ain't no use for a hobo song for me. I ain't working no more. I ain't working, she never worked for me. I ain't working too hard. I ain't working, she never worked for me. What do you got, young? So speaking of quitting my job, when I did quit my job, I decided I got to pay my dues. You know, I thought I better pay my dues. So I got my acoustic guitar and I got a suitcase and I took a Greyhound bus to Nashville, Tennessee. Now the first mistake is I took a Greyhound bus. It took me 3 days to get from Calgary to New York City. Now, the other catch was I wasn't supposed to go to New York City, I was supposed to go to Nashville. But I met these pretty Australian girls and they're like, hey, you should come visit us in New York City. I said, yeah, it's pretty close. It's not. That was a big mistake. If you look at a map, it's actually a big distance, and what looks like a little distance on a map can turn out to be a great distance, let me tell you. So I got in that bus and I was riding to New York City first, and I went to Nashville. And I was going through North Dakota, and by that point it was day one, and I realized this was a bad idea and I should probably not talk to anybody. And I was sitting there by myself, and this rather large man got into the Greyhound bus. And he sat down next to me, and I thought, please don't talk to me, please don't talk to me. And he looked me right in the eyes and said, man, this feels weird. And I said, what feels weird, sir? He said, being out. I thought, being out? I said, being out. He said, being out of prison. And I thought about all my good judgment, and I thought, I should probably not ask this man why he was in prison. But now I'm a curious person, I'm a songwriter, so the first thing that came out of my mouth was, sir, why were you in prison? And he looked me square in the eyes, he said, oh, I stabbed my brother. I said, okay. I had to ride next to that guy for 9 hours. Kid you not. So I finally made it to Nashville. I had a beautiful time. It was a beautiful trip. I've been back there numerous times. And the story worked out, and I got to tell you that story from the Greyhound bus trip. So now, the real trick to songwriting is you got to win them over with humor for the first and second verse. And then come the third verse, you insert your political beliefs, your personal beliefs, all that stuff, and you hope they'll just go with it by that point. I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do, but coincidentally, this is the third verse. I'm going to ask you a series of philosophical questions. They're not that difficult. I want you to answer them internally. Do you have time for your neighbors? Do you have time for yourself? Do you have time for philosophy? Time for Mother Nature, for the birds and the bees. Do you have time to make good memories? I'm working working no more. I ain't working, never were for me. I ain't working no more. I ain't working, never were for me.